So hello again, thank you so much for joining me today for another studio vlog. This week I was trying to focus on playing around with paint and pencils and just getting some drawing done. I am searching around for not necessarily a theme, because I think I know what my theme is going to be for Patreon this month, but I'm sort of searching around, playing around to find out what kind of project I want to do, basically what designs I want to do. So most of this week was spent just playing with paint and pencils in my sketchbook. So I'm using a small watercolour hot press, so it's quite smooth sketchbook here, just using gouache at the moment, kind of coming in on top of that with coloured pencils, and just, I don't know, just playing around with pattern and colour and just enjoying the process of getting things on the page and making marks and things like that. And by the time I finish this one, I am quite pleased with it actually. I ended up putting it on Instagram because within this page there's quite a lot of elements that I do like. So my next task really is to work out how to get those patterns and those textures into a drawing or an illustration. Like, how am I going to use them? Are they going to be like a pattern on a dress, or are they going to be some wallpaper, or am I just going to provide them for my Patreons just as a full collage sheet? I'm not really sure yet, so just kind of spending as much time as possible just playing around until something occurs to me. Something always does occur, but there is this sort of moment of like panic at the beginning of the month when I think I'm really not going to come up with anything, and oh my god, but eventually I do, as long as I just keep going, you know, keep getting things on the paper and keep playing around. Eventually something does occur to me, and I can just kind of get on going with it. So any paint that I have left in my palette at the end of the day, I tend to just plonk it down onto some spare pages in a notebook or wherever. But I also sort of drew out some interesting shapes and did some blobs and sort of play with some textures. That's pencil, crayon, coloured pencil on top of paint. Don't really like this page very much, but you know, who cares? And then there's obviously the larger page that I did at the beginning. So I had a kind of productive Monday in terms of getting paint and pencil on paper, so I'm quite happy with that. Right, I've got my tea all ready to dip my paintbrush in by accident. And just before I start painting today, I'm just going to quickly show you, I made a work wallet yesterday morning. I had to think then because I couldn't remember. I needed to have a wallet to keep my money for that I earn from Patreon separately, and from Etsy and, you know, anything creatively, so that when I buy things, like if I go to a stationery shop or an art shop and I'm buying paints and pens, I want to use this money. but I didn't have a sort of separate wallet. And I'm one of these people, I don't like buying new things when there's plenty of secondhand things. You'll notice in my vlogs, the things I buy new are things like underwear and things that you kind of need to have new, obviously like food, and I do buy art supplies new sometimes. These are actually secondhand, actually, my gouache paints. But for other things, if I can get it secondhand, I'll get it secondhand, and if I can get it handmade, I'll get it handmade. And that's just how I like to do things, because if you look on like any secondhand selling platform like Mercari or Yahoo, or I don't know whether was it eBay, there's so much stuff in existence in the universe that people are not using and they want to get rid of, and you can get it cheaper. And I just don't, so much stuff you don't need to buy new. Anyway, so I didn't want to buy a new wallet, also because the last wallet I did buy, which I bought new, and it was like it wasn't a brand, good God, it was just like, a synthetic pretend fake leather thing. It cracked after about a month using it, and I was like, well, what's the point in that? So, and also since the whole pandemic thing, I like to have things that I can clean easily. So I like wallets that I can put in the washing machine. Yeah, so anyway, I like to have everything made out of fabric if I can, or secondhand. So I decided I would make a wallet. I was trying to find one that somebody else had made, but I was being really fussy. Anyway, so I made this one, and it's really simple and really badly done, but I don't care. So on the front of it, I have an acorn. English word, I can only think of the Japanese one. It's called wapen, like an iron-on patch, I think you call them, of acorns, because acorns for me are one of the things that I like, because they kind of remind me of when things are going well and you can find lots of acorns, you really do have to kind of put them away, bury them, whatever squirrels do, so that you'll need them again. And it sort of symbolizes savings and like the future. There's that quote like from acorns. Acorns grow into big oak trees, don't they? It's also very British for me. This is like a British oak type leaf, which we don't get here in Japan. So I like it. I like acorns. Anyway, so I put that on there because I thought that was quite a good thing to have on a wallet in terms of squirreling things away for future. In here I just have a notebook, because I thought it might be quite useful when I go out. I've just started it. I've written Tombow Irojiten sets. I want to look at the Tombow Irojiten pencil sets and see what colours they have. Sketchbooks, I want to look at the sketchbooks and see, I'm interested in trying a different paper. I always use watercolour paper. But since I've been doing a lot more on pencil, I was thinking maybe to get something more like a smoother, like mixed media. So something that can take paint, like gouache, but also I can do pencil on it. Watercolour pencil is nice. Watercolour paper is nice, but it is a bit rough, so you do end up with a lot of texture. So I've been using this one recently, and I'm nearly finished. And it is hot press watercolour, which means it's smoother, which I obviously did intentionally. But yeah, I'm thinking about getting a new one. So I want to look at the sketchbooks, and I also want to get some new paintbrushes, because all of my paintbrushes are getting a bit sort of manky. I mean, these are manky because I haven't washed them properly. I meant to do it last night. Oops. But like, they're getting sort of like, this one has a permanent sort of swish to the side for some reason. This one's got this sort of splayed slightly. And this one is doing, it sort of does that too much. It separates when I'm using it. And I was feeling like, oh, I haven't looked after them properly. But having watched quite a few YouTubers who do painting, they say that they do have to update, get new brushes every now and then, because they do actually get worn out. So I'm going to have a look and see what there is. I don't know what brands are good, what kind of paintbrush I should get. So I'm probably just going to have a bit of an experiment. Anyway, so that would come out of my sort of Patreon income. So that's sort of like my little shopping list, because otherwise I'll go and I might get distracted, and then I'll come home like, oh damn, I didn't look at that, or I didn't look at the sketchbook. So I thought I'd pop that in there. And then inside, I mean, I won't show you because it has like bank details, is like my money and my little bank book. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, because I've been meaning to do that for about 6 months. I finally did it yesterday. So that's my work wallet. And then last night, I'll just show you quickly before I start. So I've been doing painting, and I've been painting the pictures from my corkboard. So I pulled them all down. So I was doing these yesterday, and nothing is particularly exciting me. But the way things work in a sketchbook for me is that I allow myself to do things that I don't like, or do things in a style that I hate, or I have no aspiration to become. Like, for example, hang on, here, I started trying to do sort of half-heartedly pencil, coloured pencil drawing, like trying to do like shading and blending. And then by the time I got around to here, I was like, well, I don't even like this style, so why am I making an effort? So then I just fired around and I started drawing dots. And that's fine. It's just like I had to go for it for a bit and then realised it wasn't for me. Nothing is meant to look like a good piece of art. Like, nothing is meant to be like, it's not supposed to be, how do I say, it's not supposed to be like a technique that I'm mastering or I'm working on mastering. It's just me just taking things from the pictures that stand out. So this one, I was just doing the background pattern. There was an interesting background pattern, so I was just doing that. And then I noticed that a lot of them had this kind of pattern, so I started doing that. I'm not necessarily trying to completely copy what I'm looking at. I'm just sort of looking at what I'm looking at the picture, and then picking out things that make me go, oh, that's interesting, and then doing a version of it, which may not look anything like the real thing, just doing a version of it on the page. I hope I'm explaining this well. I don't think I've got the pictures to explain properly. Oh, I do. So, for example, this is what I got from this. So you can see I didn't make much of an effort to match the colours. And I certainly didn't draw the actual, designs as they were. I just looked at it and thought, well, I like that flower, okay, and I'll have a go at drawing leaves like that. And then I did, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I'll do a blue one, because there's blue ones here. And then I was just farting around in the background with a red colour. So it wasn't like I was trying to draw the exact picture. I was just taking elements from it that sort of were interesting. And over here, this is just me going off on a tangent, farting around with this sort of like motif. Morning Glory motif. So I don't think I mentioned here, I have mentioned in a Patreon video that, well, I may have done briefly, that morning glories in Japan are a symbol of like summer. You see them on all the stationery, on postcards, on sticker sets, letter sets. Every summer it all comes out with a lot of other very specific summer themed objects like watermelon and goldfish, and I'm trying to think of other things. There's like a sort of a set theme of summer things that always comes out every summer. And one of the things is the morning glory flower, which is called asa gao, which means morning face, because asa is morning and kao or gao is face. So asa gao, morning face. Yeah, so I've been like researching those a little bit just because it's summer and I thought I'd have a go. This is actually, my son had a go, and I like his more. Isn't that funny? Obviously, I like his more because I love him, and he had a little go, and it was the cutest thing. But they're just nice. I like the wonkiness. And he had a go with watercolour pencils and doing the paintbrush, the water brush on top. And then I was like, okay, do you want to do something else now? And he's like, no, I haven't finished, because he specifically wanted to do all the curly whirlies and the leaves and everything. So he must have been copying. He must have been copying these up here. And this is the one that I did to begin with to demonstrate to him, so he knew how to do it. And he's joined his up to mine, which is quite sweet. So maybe I'll use that. No, I can't use that for Patreon. But yeah, just sort of experimenting yesterday. And then I did these after dinner, actually, when I should have been... Actually, I think I did them before dinner, when I should have been, cooking dinner, but I was sat doing this. We did eat, don't worry. So this is a yukata with the morning glories on, and I thought it was quite interesting to have that black and white stripe and then those strong bluey purpley blues. So I just had a go, and by this point I was using my watercolour pencils, which is quite fun to do. But I do want to do more painting. I feel comfortable with watercolour pencils, but I kind of want to challenge myself to get better at doing paint, like proper paint, like the gouache here. So yeah, those are those two, that one and that one. So I'm not really sure where to go from here. I left my favourites until the end. These are my favourites. So I might just get them done. I'm putting them off because I like them the most, because that's what I do. The pressure of doing these ones. But as I said, I'm not going to obviously I'm not going to try and recreate them, but perhaps I find this colour theme, colour palette quite interesting. This sort of very greeny, aquary type colour for the leaves is quite unusual. I haven't seen that in the other ones. And then having the yellow, the orange and the pink all together is pretty cool. This one I just like. I always love that blue with that white on patterns, but there's some nice reds and purples in here as well. And then this one's interesting because the pattern on this one, a lot of the other ones, they're just very heavily floral and leafy, but this one actually has like strips, which is quite interesting. Like the fabric is covered in, somebody's thrown a load of paper paintings down onto the fabric, which I think is quite interesting. Yeah, it's quite an interesting pattern. So, oh God, will I do it? Well, you find out, won't you? Whatever I do next is what I decided to do. So today I'm on my way to a favourite stationery shop. Now, those of you that are on Patreon will know I went there did I go last week? No, I went the week before. And I kind of had a look at all the coloured pencils and bits and bobs, and didn't find the coloured pencils I wanted, but there is another set that I'm interested in looking at today, so I'm going to go back. And now this set of pencils, they sell open stock, so I can pick and choose which colours I want rather than just buying a whole set. So the pencils I'm looking at today are by the brand Tombow, and the series of pencils is called Irojiten, which is like colour dictionary. So you've probably heard of these if you're into your pencils. And they come in various sets, and some of the sets I'm probably not really interested in just now. Like there's a fluorescent set and very like pale pastels, and I don't think either of those are going to be really anything I'm after. But I might look at the smaller sort of deep tone sets and see if it's worth buying a set or whether it's worth just buying individual pencils. So that's my goal today. I'm also going to have a look to see what sketchbooks they have, because I finished my little blue one. The plan is, with these pencils, is not to do colouring necessarily with them. I might do, but is to do the drawings with the pencils and then colour in with the paint. I just fancy doing that. So the pencils, the reason I'm going to go for the Tombow Irojiten is because I think they're quite hardcore. That sounds dodgy. Hard, like the core is hard, so therefore, like they, when you draw a line with them, it's not going to go all fluffy and soft and sort of melt onto the page, which is what I find with the Holbein ones that I have. The colours are lovely, but they're just so soft. It's like, it just drives me up the wall, because you start off with a fine line and then half a second later it's like the fattest line ever. So I'm hoping if I get the Irojiten ones, they will work for drawing outlines. That's the plan. We'll see, but they have nice colours anyway, and I'm quite happy to get some nice ones, just for having nice coloured pencils, because they do have some very interesting colour sort of selections. So I'm quite excited to have a mooch. And one more thing, what's the thing? I have paintbrushes, because I need to treat myself some new ones, because all the ones I have are getting a bit knackered, and I need to, you know, painting is something I want to get better at. You know, I think I'm far more comfortable using pens, brush pens, or pens, or, you know, like things like that. Things like pens. I like pens for drawing. I'm more comfortable with that. And I'm probably quite comfortable with watercolor pencils. But normal pencils and paint, particularly gouache, I'd like to get better at. I want to get better at those, so I think it's a good idea for me to allow myself to buy some brushes and, you know, some good things that will help me get better at it, rather than faffing around trying to do it with whatever I've got at home. So I feel justified in going on a little shopping trip today. So I'm going to take you in. I don't know how much I'll film, but if I do film something, obviously I'll show you, because the thing is with these stationery shops in Japan, as I'm sure you're aware, there's so much in there. I can spend hours in there, but I really do need to get back after lunch to get some more work done and get some other bits done at home. So I need to be quite focused in my shopping. Look for those 4 things. If I start mooching around, I'm going to end up with like stickers and washi tape. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a complete nightmare. So I might do like a sort of a bit of filming for that for you, but I also do just need to get the things that I need to get. So yeah, and also it's really self-conscious filming in there. It's a very quiet shop, which is good. So if there's nobody around, it's fine. But if the shop assistant comes around the corner, I can't, you know, it's a bit like, I don't know, I feel a bit awkward filming. So I'll give it a go anyway, because I know I filmed a lot for my patrons a couple of weeks ago, and they enjoyed it. So perhaps you will all enjoy it. So that's the plan. And I'm going to stop talking now and stop filming, because I need to concentrate on driving. See you in a bit.
Ba ba da ba ba.
Okay, so I'm back and this is what I got, which is actually a really large shop for me. I don't normally allow myself to buy so many things. Yeah, but I had the money from Patreon, so I thought I would go ahead and do it because I need to invest in, like I said earlier, I need to invest in the things I want to improve on. So now I stood there, hang on, let's put this in order first before I start whittering away. Okay, voiceover Emily here, just popping in to explain that I am, as I said, I'm not an expert on paintbrushes. And when I went in the shop, I was kind of just having a look at what was available and going by feel and sort of just trying to get a selection of different shapes. And then when I came home, I was far too excited to work out what it actually had. So I didn't like research anything properly. I didn't look at what they were and what they were meant for. So I don't want to give anybody any misinformation. So I've actually looked on the websites to find out which brushes are supposed to do what and what they're all made from, and that information I'm going to be putting up on the screen. I'm also going to put links down below to all of the paintbrush makers, like their websites, so that you can have a look as well yourself. But yeah, just be aware that I don't really know what I'm talking about in the video because I was just far too impatient. I just wanted to get them all out and unwrap them and show you without actually finding out what I had first. So do read the notes on the screen for proper information. So I got a load of paintbrushes. Now I am not an expert on paintbrushes. I know you can get synthetic ones and you can get animal hair ones. I'd rather not have the animal hair ones. I don't think I got any animal hair ones. This might be. I hope not, but anyway, I'm thinking they're all synthetic. I hope they are. And I don't know which ones are good quality and which ones are not. I mean, you can sort of guess from the price. But then they were all kind of, apart from this one, they were kind of all pretty much expensive. It feels like they're expensive for the tiny things that they are. But actually, for what they do, and what they can, the service they provide, they're not expensive at all, are they really? Because you can use them again and again and make some nice things with them. So, went on a bit of a tangent there. I'll start with this one. So this one I got on recommendation by an artist who does videos on YouTube, and I'm going to leave I'll link her channel below. She's called Natalie, and she does the most amazing illustrations. She actually uses these ones for her paintings. Now these are the paintbrushes that I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure these are the paintbrushes that children use at school. So they are a fairly reasonable price. That's about $2 on the back there, 220 yen. And they were in the children's section, and my friend also told me that these are the ones that you use for school here. So I expect my son will get something similar. But apparently they're really good for gouache. And I don't know whether it's because they're a bit stiffer. I'm not sure, but I'd be really interested to see what the difference is between this and the watercolour brushes I've been using so far. So this is what it looks like close up. Neo Sable, I don't suppose it is animal hair, I'm sure it's probably synthetic. Little space I can write my name on, look. And then that's the tip. And I can feel, well, it's a bit hard to tell at the beginning because they often are quite stiff when you first buy them. But I can feel it is stiffer than my watercolour brushes, which I think is what Natalie recommended, that it's a bit stiffer. So I'm really interested to use that, and if those work and I'm much better with gouache, I'll be very happy because they're a lot cheaper. And why not use the cheaper products if they work better? Sometimes for your purposes they are exactly what you need. So I'm looking forward to trying that one. And the next one I picked up is this Bonilon brush standard. So I'm assuming it's nylon by that name. I don't know if Bonilon or Bon Nylon is the brand name. Never heard of it. Don't know what any of those numbers mean, except that the 6 is probably the size, and probably one of those things refers to the shape. It's sort of like a rounded flat brush. And I never had one of these. And this was the only brand that had this shaped brush that I could see. It was quite expensive. This was nearly $6, nearly 600 yen. But I thought I would try it just to see what that brush tip was like. The next two I thought I'd get are these Camlon Pro by
Artesia, which sounds like some sort of European word, but it does say it's Japanese brand. So I got a 4 and a 2, and these are pointy. That's probably not the correct. I don't know, maybe they're called pointy brushes, but they're just pointy like that. No idea what they're made of, but they were, how expensive are these? They were pretty expensive, $8. Yeah, about $8 each, US dollars, 800 yen, £6 if you're in the UK. I can't really do any other conversions, sorry. But yeah, I'm going to try those and look after them and make sure that I clean them properly. Yeah, hopefully those will be enjoyable to use.
Just popping in here with the voiceover to say that these brushes are actually by the brand Talons, which is a European brand. I mistakenly did think they were a Japanese brand, but they're not, they're actually European.
And I thought I would get a set to give myself a bit of variety, because I didn't, I don't really know what I'm looking for when I'm buying brushes. So I just figured I would just get a set, and then I've got room to experiment with them. So they are Van Gogh visual brushes. I don't know what they're intended for, whether they're for watercolour or acrylic, but I figured I would just get a set. It's actually a stray hair there, so I was about to say that's not very good quality, but I suppose if I just get rid of that hair it'll be fine. But yeah, sort of like just an array of different sizes there, and that set cost me about $25 US, which is a lot. But yeah, I'm going to use them and hopefully use them for a long time and do lots of nice things with them, so it'll be worth it. And like I said, I haven't bought brushes for a long time, so I can justify that. And then the last set I got were on sale. So they had a load of brushes on sale, and I could see that the way they've wrapped them, that the people in the shop have wrapped them up into little packets and then put the price on them. So these would have been sold separately, but they put them into like individual packets.
Okay, so voiceover Emily just coming in to say that when I looked these up on the internet, I think I've discovered that these are actually children's paintbrushes, which is why they're so sweet and diddy, because they're very short. And they're actually, I think, the original version of the blue one on the table. So the first paintbrush I showed you was a children's art brush, which is actually called a Neo Sable art brush. And these are just basically like the old school versions, and they're so much nicer with the wooden handles and the lovely green and the white tips. So I'm really tempted to rush back and get all the stock, because they're not selling them anymore. These are like discontinued, which is why they were clearing out the stock. But aren't they so much nicer than the plastic ones? So I'm very excited about these, and I'm really looking forward to using them.
And the next thing I picked up was a couple of sketchbooks. Now these were not actually too fancy expensive. The most expensive, blank in my head, the most expensive paper types are going to be things like watercolour papers and very high quality cotton papers and things that have been imported from Europe. But I thought what I'd do is try non-watercolour paper, like I was saying the other day. And so I had a look, and they very helpfully actually in the shop, across all the shelves, they'd written down watercolour paper, watercolour paper. So I avoided those ones because they were all, the rough textured watercolour paper, which I already have. And I chose these two. So this top one here is from the section called Kent paper. Now Kent paper is something I've been using for a lot of my printouts on Patreon, because it's a thin card, basically, a thin white card. So it's quite useful for die cuts and things like that. But I had read that it was the best thing for pencil crayons. And I was feeling the paper and I was thinking, well, it's fairly thick. There's no details on here about the thickness, but it is fairly thick paper, so it may take gouache or watercolour without wrinkling too much. And then obviously it's a bit smoother, so I can try the pencils on top. Now this wasn't, as I say, it wasn't incredibly expensive. They had a larger one, but I thought I'd go for the smaller one to kind of be less intimidating to begin with. So I'm going to try that one. And then here, again in the Kent paper, but this was marked up specifically for marker pens. So comic art and, you know, like manga and all that kind of stuff. So this is by the brand Muse, and it says on the front Comic Kent. And this is even smoother. So this is more like this one actually has a slight bit of a grain on it. Yeah, only a little bit, but it does have a very, very, very slight grain on it. Whereas this one is almost completely smooth. So I thought I'd try this one. I don't know how much bleed through it will have. They're pretty much the same thickness. It feels like the same thing, it's just that that's smoother and that's got a very slight texture. So yeah, I just thought I would try them and see if the difference in paper makes any difference. I'm just looking to see. Oh look, this was $5. There's no information about like the weight of the paper or anything. But I thought this kind of size I could probably not feel too intimidated by. I don't know, giant sketchbooks just make me feel like, oh my god, I'm never going to finish it. And I know it shouldn't be about finishing a sketchbook. You know, your goal when you're doing sketchbooks shouldn't be because you want to finish it. It should be because you want to like enjoy using it. But I don't know, there is something about having a really big, chunky, massive sketchbook that makes me feel like I've got to do a masterpiece on every page, I suppose. So yeah, I've gone for these two. And if I find myself missing watercolour, I've got one on the shelf behind me, so I'm fine. And I also grabbed this. I was just about to go to the till, and then I got this, this doodad. So this is Tombow drawing gum. And it looks like it is imported because everything on the barrel is in English, French, I think there's Spanish. It is, what it is masking fluid, but in a pen. So, you know, normally you'd paint masking fluid on the page with a paintbrush, and the whole point of masking fluid is it stops paint from going on the page. And then at the end you rub it off and it reveals the white behind. But I was having trouble using my paintbrush, my masking fluid yesterday. So I thought perhaps for very small details I could try using this because it is actually a pen tip. So I'm quite excited to try that. Okay, and then last but definitely not least is the colour pencil. So I went out specifically, primarily to get colour pencils, to get some more of these colour pencils. So I had one, I had a mustard colour. So it's a slightly harder core and it is, I thought, probably the best choice for drawing outlines out of all the ones I was trying. So I went to the shop and I went to the pencil section and I started pulling off the shelves all the coloured pencils that I wanted, so all colours that I thought I would use. And I had about 20. I thought I limit myself to 20. They're about $1 each, $1.30, because they're 130 yen. I don't actually know what the exchange rate is these days, but that's about 80p, I would say, in British pounds. So they're not pricey. But I stood there and I was like, look at the names. They have such nice names. We've got at the top cedar wood, and in the middle chartreuse green. I always have a thing for the colour chartreuse because we, a friend and I, when we were younger, we were obsessed. She was obsessed with that word, I think, that and pamplemousse. But yeah, I like that colour green. And then this one's autumn leaf. Very nice. So anyway, I stood there and I picked up like 20 or so, and I was looking at them and thinking, you know, okay, I'll get these. And I turned the corner and I saw this. Now I know they do sets, but I hadn't seen that they had this set. So I turned it over and I looked at the back and I looked down all the colours, and basically, apart from 3, all the pencils I had in my hand were in this set. And I'm pretty sure that per pencil is cheaper to get this. So I thought I would do that. I'd treat myself to this big set because I hadn't bought a brand new set of pencils ever, I don't think. So I felt like I was on a bit of a high when I came out of the shop. Like I felt like a proper grown-up because I bought colour pencils. Makes no sense, but never mind. Anyway, so thank you Patreons, because you paid for all this basically. Thank you so much, because I'm really excited to open this up and use them. So yeah, as I say, there's 36 colours in here. And all the colours are supposed to be from nature, which is quite a nice idea. And you get this cool folder with it. Now, I don't suppose I'll keep them in this because I like to have them like arranged in jars so I can just quickly grab them. But I could probably use this for something else, to keep papers in or something, so that's exciting. If I can somehow, well, I'll have to hoik that plastic bit out. But yeah, it's like this cool like card folder, paper pocket here. Oh good, they gave me a like, you get like a sheet that you can colour in, all like pencil tests, that's fun. What's this? Oh, information about blending, stuff like that, that's cool. But yeah, here they are, and I'm like, aren't they the nicest colours? So whoever chose the colours for this particular set obviously has similar tastes to me, because this is all the colours I wanted pretty much. So I'm really happy with that, and they're all sharpened for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to start using them, and I will let you know how I think and what I think about them. To be honest, even if I don't think they're amazing for my purpose, I'm just really happy to have all these lovely pencils. It's like Christmas. Oh my gosh, how nice.
So I'm going to end the vlog here, and I hope you enjoyed watching this. It ended up being a little bit longer than I planned. It's gone way over half an hour, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway, and enjoyed like having a little look at my haul that I got this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!